Okay, great. Let's get started. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Kelly Coek. I'm a consultant here at the Lehigh SBDC. I'm being joined by Lynn Ninke and also Cassie Fly from the University of Pitt Small Business Development Center. Today, we're bringing to you the Driving Traffic and New Sales via Website and Social Media webinar. Thank you all for joining us. Go ahead, Lynn, get us started. I'll give you a little background for those of you that are new to the SBDC. Let me tell you a little bit about the Lehigh University SBDC before we go ahead and launch into the webinar. Okay, so the Small Business Development Center is really a partnership at the state, federal, and local level. I think the slide advanced, Lynn. So if you can bring us back. Yes, thank you. This partnership makes the Small Business Development Center possible. There are 16 offices across the state of Pennsylvania. Lehigh is number 7 on the map. We are serving the counties of Lehigh, Northampton, Upper Bucks, and Northern Montgomery counties. So you can see that you can reach out to any of these offices to obtain the services that I'm going to describe. Now, here at the local Lehigh SBDC, we offer many different services. Across all of them, we offer a no-cost confidential business consulting opportunity for small businesses in our communities. In addition, we also offer small group consulting to provide networking opportunities. We also provide live training events like this one today, as well as a digital library that you can access. Now, our programs are not just limited to startup. We do offer assistance across the whole journey of small business from the start to succession. So we do have services for startup, for growth planning, and for succession. We also offer financing assistance. So if you're interested in business loans, it's assistance in providing the loan package process to guide you through that. The other aspects that we have available are government marketing programs, as well as an international program here at Lehigh, an international trade development program. And across the entire network, we have a technical product development consulting services, as well as EMAP, or environmental management assistance programs. The next slide. And what I'd like to highlight is that there are certain SBDCs across the state of PA that are centers of excellences in certain areas where it's deemed that there's need for extra assistance in industry specific, easy for me to say, programs. And so for the program today, University of Pitt has a specialty in digital services. I would highlight that Lehigh University is a center of excellence for the growth management tool, which is a tool that provides assistance for businesses in growth phase. And so at this point, I'd like to turn it over for Lynn to share with us the agenda for today. And I wanted to just highlight that you can ask questions along the way. We are also joined by Cassie Fly, who will be managing the chat. So if you have questions, go ahead and use the chat, and we will periodically be able to address them, as well as at the end of the webinar. So Lynn, go ahead and take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary. Very much. Hello, everyone. I should say at this point, good afternoon, and welcome again to today's presentation, Maximizing E-Commerce Sale. As Mary said, my name is Lynn Ninke, and I am a management consultant with the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center. I am joined by my colleague, Cassie Fly, on today's presentation. As Mary said, Cassie's going to be help manning the chat. So if you have questions, again, please don't hesitate. But I would really like to thank our Lehigh University host, Mary Kelly Coek, for partnering with us to bring you this webinar. So as Mary said, the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center is a center of excellence for digital services. And we are so pleased that we can partner with our SBDCs across the Commonwealth to bring you this information about establishing a strong online presence and really learning how you can optimize that presence to drive increased traffic and sales for your business. And we're able to bring programs like this to small businesses at no cost due to our funding at the federal level by the Small Business Administration and at the state level by the PA Department of Community and Economic Development. But for today's webinar, we are jam-packed and we are going to be talking about what exactly defines an effective website. We're going to touch on the cost and time to implement. And then we'll get into the meat of search engine optimization, which is how to attract traffic to your website. And then finally, we're going to talk about social media and how tightly bonded social media is to websites. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about a social media audit that we're also able to do at the Pitt SBDC. So what defines an effective website? Well, let's talk about that. So there are some features of an effective website that everyone who has a website should be aware of. So a well-designed website is one that really makes the process of interacting with your business easier. So a well-designed website is easy to navigate, easy to understand, and it takes you through the process of understanding the product or service that you offer, and then setting the user up for easy purchase of that item or an easy way to engage a service. So, you know, a well-designed website really kind of walks the visitor through all the way from exploration to either purchase or engaging of a service. So about 60% of web searches are done on a mobile device. So an effective website should be optimized for mobile devices. In today's society, many people are just using their cell phones to shop, look up product and company information, and purchase items. So some people are, as I said, only using a website or only using a mobile device to look up a website. So a BuildFire study shows that about 80% of internet users in the US have used a mobile device to shop online. And about 35% of US consumers, like I said, only use their mobile device to buy online. So that's why it's very important to have a website that is mobile friendly. But next, you want to make sure that your website has as fast of a load time as possible. So there have been studies that show that a 1 second increase in your website's load time has the potential to decrease customer traffic by about 27%. And there are definitely ways to help reduce that load time on your website, like using optimized images and text compression to help decrease that load time. Finally, an effective website is one that seeks to attract visitors through organic traffic, or what we'll also refer to as inbound marketing techniques. So in other words, it's a website that is made in a way that just naturally attracts customers without the use of paid ads on Google or another search engine. And what search engine optimization does is help you to generate organic traffic, not traffic that you've paid for. So what exactly can you use a website for? So we know that websites are an important part of a business strategy. I think, especially since the pandemic, businesses have learned just how vital a website is. Retail businesses with products to sell really seem to do the best if they were able to pivot to a strong online sales game throughout the pandemic. Websites help you sell and promote pretty much anything you want, your products, your services, or even information. So starting with products, websites are a way for the customer to see the product, its different colors, its features, without necessarily having to be there in person. With a retail store, they can do some pre-shopping on your website, or they could actually move through to purchase. So simply having better pictures, better tools to view your products online can really go a long way to increasing how long a customer stays on your website and hopefully moves forward to make a purchase. So next, you can sell your services. So an online presence offers a place to list testimonials about services, vivid descriptions, really paint a picture of what the service you might offer may be like if the client were to engage in it. Also, websites offer a way for customers to book services with you, which saves you time as a very busy business owner. And finally, your business might collect information that's very pertinent to people. And a website that helps you market that information can be very effective. So I do a lot of recipe searches online. And many of the sites that I visit not only have the recipes, but they also have links to cookware and appliances. And on those websites, oftentimes they're making money on those links. So there's many different things that you can do with your website. So let's talk a little bit about the cost and time to implement. So this is some updated pricing for popular website hosts. And as you can see, they are really quite affordable. I think that there are many options of price points that can fit most budgets. And there are others. So we looked at Wix business and e-commerce plans. We looked at Shopify, and we also looked at WordPress. But there are other web hosts like GoDaddy and Squarespace. And the nice thing that all of these have in common is that they have simplified the creation process. And they help to walk you through each step to create the website yourself. Many of them have templates that you can choose from. And they've really made the process easier so that a small business owner who might have a limited budget doesn't necessarily have to go out and hire someone to build the website. And by doing it yourself, in the end, you have a website that looks exactly as you want it to look. And you've also learned a lot about managing the site. And that's important because when we think about search engine optimization as being a continuous activity, and knowing that search engine crawlers love nothing more than finding new relevant information on your website, the fact that you're able to do those updates, that you're able to make those changes, helps you to keep the content very fresh, which is super important to search engine optimization. So, why SEO? Why is this so important? SEO is about helping search engines. And I like to focus on Google because Google is the #1 search engine. But it helps all of these search engines like Google and Yahoo and Bing really understand the information on your website and present that content organically. And optimizing your website and understanding for your business the important keywords all works together to help those search engines. So let's talk a little bit about what is search engine optimization. So this is also called inbound marketing technique. So instead of you going out and paying money to attract customers to your website by the use of paid ads, you are organically increasing traffic to your website by the quality of your content, including the use of strong keywords and keyword phrases that are relevant to your business. And this is one strategy to help your website rank higher on search engine results pages. So when you use inorganic strategies like digital ad campaigns on Google or Facebook, you may not receive as many clicks compared to an organic search result. SEO is passive and natural, and the best part is that it's free. and I'm going to show you a slide that has some paid ads, but there are a lot of people that won't click on a paid ad. They want to click on that search result that is that has come up as a result of just natural organic results. Now, there's one caveat to all of this, and that it does take time to see results when you are working on your website and enhancing it, optimizing it organically. But in the long run, you'll increase your website's domain authority, meaning you're going to rank higher on search engines. So I think I've said it a couple of times, but an online presence is very important in today's world. We just can't get around it. And search engines have become an extremely important tool in our world. So when I'm looking to make a purchase, I Google my favorite stores. I mean, I use the word Google as a verb. So I'm Googling my favorite stores. I might do a little pre-shopping on the website before I go in, or I might actually move forward and make a purchase. I use informational websites, as I said, to find new recipes. And I often joke with my kids who don't know life before computers about the lengths that I used to have to go to find information. And search engine optimization helps to increase the traffic to your website. If you end up on the first page of a search engine organically, that is without the results of paid ads, you'll generate 20 times more traffic to your website. So let's take a look at this. So this is the search engine result when someone typed in digital marketing in the Google search bar. So you'll see the first 3 results are paid ads. That is an inorganic search result, while the 4th one is a non-paid organic search result. And as I stated before, there are many people who don't click on the search results with the word ad in the corner, and I am definitely one of them. Instead, they'll click on the first organic search result because they feel that website, or even the 1 or 2 or 3 below that one, have more credibility because they aren't associated with a paid ad. There's more confidence in those websites because they were presented organically. So how exactly do these search engines work? And I find this fascinating. So we're going to talk about some terminology you'll hear in the search engine optimization world. And the first one is SERP, or search engine results pages. So when you do a search on a search engine like Google or Bing, the web pages that are displayed are considered the search engine results pages. And these results are ranked in some order, with the search engine's mission being to organize each web page on the internet. But before it can do that, there are a couple of things happening behind the scenes. And one of those things is called crawling. And crawling is the process by which the search engine crawls across your website, searching and discovering relevant, updated content on the site's pages. And it brings that content back to the search engine. And once that process is complete, the search engine stores that information on its own databases and will start retrieving that information from their database instead of fetching it from your website. So this process, called indexing, helps with that instantaneous retrieval of information. So then after the indexing is complete, the search engine assigns a score to the web page based on what they consider to be relevant search parameters. And based on that score, the search engine ranks the website. So when we talk about optimization strategies, we like to cover 3 distinct areas. Creating new content and keeping it fresh is very important to search engine optimization and can significantly improve your rankings. Things like blogs and testimonials are ways to update your website frequently. And especially when you think about a blog, that is something that you as the website owner, the business owner, has complete control over. And as you're creating blog posts, you can be using your important keywords and keyword phrases. But sometimes it can be a challenge to determine what new content you want to add to your website. And there are some ways, I don't believe you always have to go out and reinvent the wheel. I am a big fan of checking out your competition. Look at not only their website, but also their social media for inspiration. But the bottom line is that it is important to keep your content updated and fresh. So a backlink is another important optimization strategy. And that is a link created when one website links to another. So when a website would link to your website, they would be creating a backlink to your website. Backlinks are also called inbound links or incoming links, and they're very important to SEO. And I'm going to share an example of a backlink that Cassie shares when she does the webinar, because I think it's just such a great example. So think about at the beginning of the pandemic, when restaurants were either closed or they were only able to serve takeout. It was a very difficult time for restaurants, obviously. But then the Centers for Disease Control said, hey, restaurants, you are able to open back up, but you have to follow these very specific parameters. So 25% seating capacity. Guests have to be wearing their masks unless they were actively eating, maintaining good social distancing. So obviously restaurants were very excited, updating their websites, letting them know, hey, come Friday, we're able to open, but make a reservation because we're not going to be able to seat beyond 25% capacity. So the restaurants were listing on their websites all of the parameters under which they were allowed to open. But to lend credibility to what they were stating, the restaurants were linking to the CDC's website so patrons could go to the CDC and read the information on their own. And what this did was this created millions of backlinks to the CDC's website. Now, some ways you can increase your backlinks is by blogging on guest blog sites. You can also think about, what industries or what things you're associated with that might make sense for them to be backlinking to you. So for a brick and mortar retailer, it might be your Chamber of Commerce. Your Chamber of Commerce may provide a resources list. And for your chamber to backlink to your website is an effective way to create a backlink. Blogging is effective as well. But backlinks are important because they really help improve your domain authority, and having an improved domain authority score really helps with your search engine rankings. So it's important that every page of your website has both title tags and meta descriptions. And it's important as you're creating these that you are using your important keywords and keyword phrases that are relevant to your website. These are the things that get noticed by crawlers, which, as I mentioned before, helps with indexing and subsequently with your page's ranking. Now, depending upon the web host, some of them vary in whether or not they actually force you to create, especially a meta description. Meta descriptions are such an important aspect of SEO that if you are building your website or if you are updating your website, you would want to make sure you kind of take a peek back in the coding and make sure that you have meta descriptions for every page. That is simply how important they are to your SEO. So let's talk about some common myths about ways that you can improve your SEOs. So the first myth is that keyword density helps improve page ranking. Now, keyword density, also known as keyword stuffing, does not help improve page rankings. This is where you would load your site with keywords that are not necessarily relevant, but popular, or you would just be using the same keywords over and over. And this is considered a blackhead SEO technique, and powerful search engines are smart enough to realize this and that you're doing it, and they can actually block your web page. That social signals are a ranking factor. And we're actually going to talk about this when we get to social media a little bit more in depth, but social signals such as likes are not a ranking factor. What matters is active engagement. Another myth is that links don't matter. Links do matter. I think I gave you a lengthy explanation of backlinks and how strongly they can help increase your SEO. And then another myth is that content doesn't matter. That couldn't be further from the truth. Your content is absolutely important. It does matter. Keep it fresh, keep it relevant. Identify a strategy by which you can be continually updating your website, adding that new relevant content that the search engine crawlers are looking for. There's a myth that SEO is a one-time activity. And if you walk away with anything from this webinar, I would hope you would walk away with the fact that SEO is a continuous activity. It's a continuous strategy. It is so important that you keep your website updated. Those search engine crawlers, again, they're always searching your site for new quality content. So they can take that back and they can index your page, and that helps with your search engine rankings. There's a myth that it's only the #1 position on Google that matters. And absolutely, the #1 position is going to help you capture a lot of traffic, but other positions can definitely still capture good search traffic. It's keeping that website optimized, which really goes a long way to boosting your SERP. Common myth is that you can buy backlinks and that will improve your SEO. Do not buy backlinks. There are many offers that you may receive to actually sell you backlinks, and don't buy them. What matters in backlinks is the quality of the backlink, not necessarily the quantity. And by quality, I mean a backlink that is relevant to your business, your industry. That is what boosts your domain authority, is having a quality backlink that makes sense to be linking to you. When you buy backlinks, that's another blackhead SEO technique, and search engines know when you are actually trying to inflate your link profile. And another common myth is that Google Ads would increase your ranking. Ads do promote additional traffic. There's no getting around it, but ads don't necessarily help with your organic traffic, and it's your organic traffic that is what is of the most importance. So let's talk about a search engine optimization report. So as we stated, the University of Pittsburgh is a center of excellence in digital services, and we are fortunate enough that we do the SEO analysis reports for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. If you're not working with an SBDC, or you've lost touch with your SBDC, and you would like an SEO for your website, you definitely want to get back in touch with your SBDC and your consultant and ask to have one scheduled. So let's talk about the components of an SEO. So with an SEO, we do 19 different tests, and we give you results. We break them out between past, low priority fixes and high priority fixes. But before we get into that, we also look at your website design. We want to see how your website renders, whether it's on a desktop or those ever more important mobile devices. We check for accessibility. We want to make sure that people who have low vision or no vision are able to access your website in the same way as somebody who doesn't have those challenges. We want to make sure that your website is compatible across many different browsers. And then we determine what your search engine optimization score is. We look at your website's content. We search for broken links. We take a peek at your social media management, what sites you're present on, and then we also look at your social media engagement. Importantly, as I mentioned before, you want a website that loads quickly. So we test your website load speed, and then we look at the things that might be hindering it. We look at the security of your website. So important that you have a valid security certificate for your website. A lot of people won't even click on a website if it's not secure. It's just not worth the risk. And especially if you have a website that is, for shopping, people who are entering their credit card information, they want to make sure that it's secure. And then we give you your high priority fixes and your low priority fixes. So a very detailed report. And one of the most valuable aspects of the report is the follow-up meeting that we have with you and your primary consultant. We want to make sure that you understand the report and what the fixes are and what the recommendations are. It's time well spent because you end up walking away with a much better understanding about SEO and how you can positively impact your website.
Hey, Lynn.
Yes, Cassie.
Before you move on to social media, we have one question, and it was asking about how often should blog posts be updated on a website?
So that's a great question, and that's a question that I'm frequently asked in our review meetings, and I'm guessing you get that question a lot too, Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I always sort of turn it back to the business owner, and I ask, what are you able to manage? So it's easy for me to say, if you can add a blog post a week, then do it. But it really depends upon what you can manage. One thing that I always talk to my clients about is that a blog post doesn't have to be, a 2,000 word essay. You can do a tip of the day, a tip of the week. If you're a restaurant, you could do a blog post. It could be like Menu Mondays. These are the new things that we're adding, and a little bit of, conversation in the blog about, why you're using the ingredients you're using. So there really is no set time that you should be, it has to be daily, weekly, monthly. It truly comes down to what you can manage. I recommend, though, if you are going to get into adding blogs to your website, that you do it regularly. So if it's going to be once a week, make it once a week, because, the nice thing about blogging is that you can use your social media to drive people to your website to read your blog. And if you're posting regularly, say the same day every week, then people will know, hey, I need to get over to this website and check out their latest blog posts. So like everything related also to social media, consistency is definitely key. So let's get into social media. We know more and more just how tightly bonded social media is to websites, and how you can effectively use your social media to drive traffic to your website, and you can use your website to drive traffic to your social media. There are about 3.5 billion people who use social media. And these statistics that I'm giving you are from a Pew Research study. So 3.5 billion people, that's roughly half the world's population, I believe. Facebook alone is used by 2/3 of US adults, and 75% of them use it on a daily basis. Believe it or not, the average person spends about 3 hours per day on social media. And I will raise my hand up and I will say I am probably guilty of that. Social media offers an inexpensive way to promote your business, engage with your customers, and improve their insights into your company, your brand, and the products or services that you may offer. So social media, let's talk about social media and SEO rankings. So while social media doesn't directly contribute to your SEO rankings, it is true that the links you share across your social media platforms help to increase your brand exposure. And those things add up and influence search engine optimization in 6 different directions. So extensive content distribution. So if you're using your social media channels to promote your website, promote your blog, that's very effective. Social media, longer lifespan of your posts, right? So as they're being shared across platforms, you're increasing the lifespan. You're improving your online visibility, which in turn should help your organic traffic. Using your social media effectively really increases and also enhances not only your brand recognition, but your brand reputation. And your social media can definitely help to boost your local search engine optimization. So when people are sharing your content through social media, that's showing that your posts are useful to your target market. So the likes, shares, and really importantly, the comments your posts receive are important signals that Google and other search engines use to help rank your website. So these social signals strengthen the factors that Google considers, and I'm picking on Google, when ranking a website. So you accumulate these signals in mass sharing on your social media sites. So let's explore these social media users a little bit. So I'm going to pick on millennials and Gen Z first. So this is that group born between 1980 and 2012, and they rule social media interactions. They are active users of things like QR codes to access information. Now I have a daughter who falls into the Gen Z, and she's not likely to type in a website from her phone that she's holding in her hand all the time, but she will scan a QR code that's going to take her to the website. Now, Gen Z is all about exploring new social media platforms like TikToks. They're huge users of TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, all of it. And then Gen X, that's the group born between 1965 and 1980. And they're the smallest group population-wise. And they tend to use their social media directly related to their lifestyle. So think soccer moms and dads using Facebook, but in a professional capacity using LinkedIn and Twitter. Baby boomers tend to be more cautious in their use of social media, and they prefer going to known and trusted websites for information. Baby boomers do use Facebook, but it's more to keep in touch with family and friends. I was having a conversation with another consultant who is hearing more and more that people are using Facebook almost as the new Yellow Pages. So they may go into Facebook, into a search, and type in electricians and see what type of results that they get. And typically, those results are going to be more locally sourced. So when you think about, social media as it relates to your target market, consider which might be the best social media platform for you to use. So when you choose your channel, it's really important that you know who your audience is. Get to know your customer. How old are they? Are they mainly men? Are they mainly women? What are their demographics? What are their psychographics, which are the things that they're interested in and feel strongly about? It's important that you find your audience. So as we talked about on the last slide, certain demographics use certain platforms more than others. So really think through, who your demographic is, and determine what platform they are most likely to use and how often do they use the platform. Think about things like what times are they on? If you're accessing, busy working parents, they might not be getting onto their social media until the evening. So kind of think through, when are they most likely to be on the platform? Like think about how they are actually using a platform. So example, like YouTube, does your target customer primarily use it to watch how-to videos? Like for educational purposes? Are they using it to listen to music, or are they primarily searching for like funny dog videos? And then think about your goals. So what are you trying to do with your social media channels? Are you trying to drive sales? I think primarily that is what most businesses want, right? Are you, though, trying to just grow recognition of your brand? Having a strong brand recognition definitely is very useful for driving traffic to your website. So you may choose different platforms based on your goals. So there's a marketing saying that goes something like this. So initially you may choose which social media outlets you'll be on, but it's really your customers who are going to show you where your focus should be. So when we talk about optimizing our social media, we have to understand that it's really important that we have a good grasp on how social media connects and creates relationship with others. So when you think about, the importance of optimizing your social media, think about how you're going to be building your brand awareness, how you're going to be showing your clients your brand personality. The wonderful thing about social media as it compares to your website is that it enables you to share more about yourself as a business owner, share more with more immediacy than you can potentially do on your website. Your social media can help to establish yourself as a thought leader. If you are an expert in a field, if you are an influencer, you can really use your social media to establish yourself, very strongly in whatever space you're working. As I said before, you can use your social media to drive traffic to your website. Very effective way to do so, especially, with products, with services, kind of teasing your blog a little bit. You can definitely move people to your website. The wonderful thing about social media is, if you have business accounts on social media, you can access analytics. You can see, what people are doing, who's coming to your social media platforms. You can also use social media. You can use targeted ads on social media. I have had clients do that very successfully. So let's think about how you can enhance your brand, how you can, bring yourself as a person, not just a business owner, but as a person to your clients. When you think about one of our dairy farmers here, Tom Pemberton, he used YouTube so effectively to show snippets about life on his dairy farm. He had the right personality to do it. He had the right family who really was interested in, getting, in front of the camera. And, they showed what the day of a life of a farmer is like, all the way from milking the cows in the morning to, settling them down in a bed of hay at night. And, his video got over 1 million views. It's really important. People love to get to know the business owner. We have another example of Hannah Jackson, who's a shepherdess. And she, as you can see, has huge following on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And what she really learned is it's good to show, who you are as a business owner. She's a shepherdess. She was showing what a shepherdess does. She was showing them how she trains her sheepdogs. I mean, it just lends insight, and it's so incredibly engaging. And engagement is very important. So one of the things that, I try to stress with our clients is that when people are engaging on your social media posts, when they're commenting, it is so important that you comment back, and really try to fall within that 24-hour rule of thumb. A comment back is an engagement, and those engagements do a number of things. They make people feel good, which makes them more likely to want to comment some more. They are very effective because they boost your post. It is a way to make yourself more visible. If you are tagging other businesses in your comments, that is a way for their followers to see you as well. So, have fun with your social media. Let people see who you are as a business owner. It's very, very effective. So let's talk a little bit about the social media audit. So we look at the major platforms. We look at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Now, I'm not saying you have to be on all those platforms to have a social media audit done. We do them if you're on one platform. But what we want to do is we want to provide a summary of the platforms that you're on, how many followers you have, and then we have specific criteria for each of them that we're looking at. Things like, do you have a custom handle? Do you have accurate and updated contact information? We look at your followers. It's good to have a nice mix of followers between businesses and personal. We look at how often you're posting, what the content of your posts are looking like. Are you using any video? Video is so effective. You get 8 times the engagement on a video as you do a typical post. So I encourage you to get behind the camera, or I guess in front of the camera, and start posting some videos. But we look at just really how effective you are, how consistently you're posting. We show you some other social media options like TikTok, for instance. We have some strong FAQs that can help guide you with the various platforms, things like what to post and when to post. Because we are a small business development center, we are very focused on goal setting. You want to set goals that you are not only attainable, but are also measurable. And then because every social media platform, wants you to be successful in marketing your business, we give you some top resources for each platform. So again, like the SEO audit, this is something that you would arrange through your local SBDC. And we do follow-up meetings with the social media audits as well, like we do with the SEO audits, because it's important to understand, what our recommendations are and simply how to implement them. So we have this resource, and you will receive this PowerPoint. If you haven't received it already, you'll receive it at the end of the webinar. But I would encourage you to check out this link to this SEO starter guide. And it's such an amazing resource that shows you how you can make some very small but powerful changes that will really help to increase your SEO. So before I turn it back over to Mary Kelly, I want to open it up. Do we have any more questions in the chat, Cassie?
I don't see any at the moment, but I will keep looking.
Okay.
Now that we ended, maybe more people will be typing, so I'll keep an eye on it.
Okay, terrific.
Oh, there's one. It says, does the number of site visitors impact SEO?
So the power of your site visitors lies in your understanding of your traffic. And that is something that most of the web hosts offer, analytics. So you can see who is visiting your website and who is, and what they're doing once they're there, how long they're staying, where they're going. very significant information that can help you understand, how effective your website is, how effective you are from moving them from point A to point B to point purchase. Google Analytics, I think, has the best analytics and understanding who is visiting your website and exactly how you can optimize that information to improve your website.
I actually have a couple more. Is there any way to add title tags? Okay, so let me rephrase this. Is there any way to add title tags and meta descriptions in websites that are created in Google Sites?
That's a very good question. And that I would actually encourage you to return to Google Sites and contact them to understand it. One thing is, though, that if a web host either doesn't force you to create a title tag or a meta description, or allows you to skip it, what those websites do, what those web hosts do, is that they will provide the equivalent of a meta description. But you want to, if at all possible, you want to be in control of what that meta description says, because a well-crafted meta description and a well-crafted title tag is very important, because you can design it so that it includes your important keywords and your important keyword phrases.
And then we have another, and it says, is there any way to add, how do you make your business visible on maps?
Okay, that's another good one. And, I encourage all businesses to have a Google business profile. And a Google business profile is it's designed to drive information to, say, maps. Initially really designed for a brick and mortar that has, a secure location, or for a service business that has a service area. And that is what really drives maps. That's the whole idea. It's about local intent. However, if you're an e-commerce only business, to have a listing, a Google business profile, just gives you another point of contact out on the web.
And I also, Lynn, dropped a link to Google. That is where, if you scroll down just a little ways, one of the first things it says in there is how to get found on maps. And you can actually click on that and you can start filling out your Google profile. And so that's a really helpful resource for that question.
Thank you, Cassie. So if we don't have any more, I was gonna say, if we don't have any other ones, we're coming up to almost to time. So I will turn it back over to our host, Mary Kelly Kohik.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Great content. Thank you to you and also to Cassie for presenting the information for us today. I wanted to give one reminder of if you are interested in the SEO and the social media audits, that you can, if you're already a client of an SBDC, reaching back to your consultant, you'll be able to go ahead and get a request in for the audits. On the screen is our information specifically for the Lehigh SBDC, where you can contact us in multiple ways there, whatever's the most convenient if you are interested in the audits or for a consultation. I also wanted to highlight an upcoming event for our small businesses. If you're interested, on April 26th, Meet the Buyers is our event. It's a reverse trade show where the buyers are at the tables. It is an in-person event. And small businesses can visit the tables to go ahead and sell their products or services to the buyers. If you're interested, the website is at the bottom, lvmeetthebuyers.com. A little more information, or contact us and we'll be happy to share more information with you as well at any of the ways that you see on the screen. So the last thing, I would just say thank you all for attending today on behalf of Lehigh SBDC and the University of Pitt SBDC. And so thank you for your attendance. You will receive a follow-up email that includes the presentation, a recording of this session today, as well as a survey. We would welcome your feedback and appreciate your time today. Thank you.